Hello, it's me, the Avatar Fanatic, and today we'll be reviewing episode 5 of the live action Netflix adaptation of Avatar The Last Airbender, Spirited Away. This episode starts with the gang fighting in a small skirmish against some firebenders, showing how much better Katara has gotten at waterbending. This waterbending had a little more force, which was good, but Katara's delivery looked a little slow to me. It's not a big problem, more of like a nitpick for the specific scene, not for the waterbending as a whole in this specific case. Aang encounters a destructed forest done by Fire Nation soldiers to clear their path, basically to make a path of least resistance for them. Sokka finds a young Earth Nation child roaming around. She runs back to her village where the gang are greeted by the chieftain or something of that sort of the village. They mention the many problems they're facing and that some of them may be spiritual. This is a decent introduction to the episode, nothing special, but really not overcomplicating it either. It's basically just a way that they get to how they get into the spirit world. Azula tries to make sly comments about her brother, and she also talks to Ozai about promoting Zhao for finding the Avatar. Ozai agrees with the promotion for Zhao, but doesn't appreciate the comments about Zuko that Azula made. He actually pushes back on Azula, states that Zuko actually found the Avatar, and that leaders do the impossible. They don't just complain and make backhanded comments, that she has to be cautious about her words, and that he will be hesitant to give airship to someone making these dumb comments. I like this a lot from Ozai. This was a very small scene, but it was very effective. Even the shrewdest of planners like Ozai can show uncertainty in their pick of air. In fact, that is his plan, to motivate Azula, teach her about leadership, and also not belittle his son, because he has achieved a great accomplishment. This adds layers to Ozai's character in a very productive way. The gang see a wounded statue of Heibai in the forest. This is how they know something's wrong. Aang enters the spirit world because he wants to save some people who perished on a food expedition in the chieftain village that they met earlier, but he inadvertently brings Sokka and Katara with him. In my view, it's better to do this than do nothing with Sokka and Katara for the rest of the episode, so unless they were on some other small expedition or other mission, which they wouldn't have been able to be because their intent was to protect the Avatar, then this was really the only option to really have him in the episode. Zuko and Iroh arrive at the village and hear whispers of the Avatar arriving here at some point. They encounter a bounty hunter to hunt Aang. This bounty hunter happens to be named June. Iroh ends up convincing Zuko to pay her to hunt the Avatar. It's a fine introduction to her character, but again, nothing overcomplicated. Nyla, June's mount, looks pretty good, CGI-wise. The gang in the spirit world find Wan Shi Tong. It's a cool reference, but I think it's kind of a forced one. Maybe you could still do the library episode, in my opinion, in book 2. It's not too big of an issue. Maybe he still makes an appearance in that episode, for example. But maybe they should have got creative here. Perhaps included more or different spirits. Perhaps not in the original. Dark versions of maybe some we'd see in Korra with Jinora, or even the times of Avatar 1. That would have been very interesting. Dark spirits of some sort, or anything creative. Because Wan Shi Tong, his habitat is the library. This really was never his habitat. Azula, frustrated by her father, she feels as if she can never get his satisfaction. She starts devolving into the mindset clearly stated in the episode, which is perhaps too showing. She basically says how perfect isn't good enough. Her fire actually starts going blue at the end of her firebending at some points, after it was yellow to begin with, which I feel was actually a very, very good touch, showing how she could slowly devolve into this consistency of blue fire rather than her just starting out with it in the original. One thing I would say is we should see some scenes with Mei and Ty Lee in some mini arc in the Fire Nation or something like that. There's really no point in them just sitting behind Azula in these scenes. That can work in some cases, I guess, and we can keep them there, but with some knowledge of them doing some other stuff beforehand. Because if you're watching this for the first time, there's basically no introduction to Tylee or May. Basically, the only thing we know about him is that they're just Azula's friend. The gang encountered a wounded Heibai in the spirit world. Heibai, he looks wounded, but he also looks fantastic. The CGI is done amazingly. Heibai startles the gang and he chases them to the truth, as Wan Shi Tong forecasted. It gets revealed that Katara caused her mother's death by actually going against her wishes, waterbending, that the firebender spotted it, and her mom was forced to act like she was the waterbender. So Katara basically got her mom killed. Sokka was shown to pass his test, but his peers and tribe leadership was shown to be talking down his efforts. Even Sokka's dad was talking about Sokka's adversity that he faced in his initiation. Sokka is filled with grief of this. I like this scene because it shows something we didn't know about Sokka or Hakoda. The life of Hakoda in this tribe. There were serious concerns about Sokka's leadership. This sets up a great catalyst for Sokka's motivation to prove those people and those doubts wrong. I like the usage of Code the Face Stealer a lot in this episode. Probably the best thing about it, as it threatens Sokka to give in to his despair. It shows how Code the Face Stealer actually steals faces here. It's very, very creative. Code the Face Stealer confronts Aang before Aang runs away from the spirit. He finds Gyatso at the entrance of the tunnel upon his exit. Gyatso tells Aang to save his friends. He needs to contact Roku. It's also valuable information that Aang can not only be consoled by avatars, but also by Gyatso, people he has a lot of connection with. And they talk about this in the episode, that Aang can basically come back to Gyatso at any time to talk to him. I like this touch. It's similar to what happened to Iroh in The Legend of Korra. It suits Iroh, especially as he's a spiritual character, and it also suits Gyatso, especially as he's an airbender and he's very, very spiritual as well. Aang is forced to go to the Fire Nation and find Roku, so his trip to the Northern Water Tribe is again further delayed. He now has to save Sokka, Katara, and all the people lost from the chieftain from Code the Face Stealer, or at least at risk of being lost by Code the Face Stealer. Overall, this episode wasn't bad, wasn't great. There are some good and bad things included. I liked the Book of the Spirits. The plot to get there was a bit dull. The showing truth thing was okay, but how they got there was again a bit forced. Again, showing all 3 spirits in one episode was a bit rushed. I also liked some of the arcs that they showed about Katara and Sokka when they were young. These were very creative, a bit forced at times. They don't show enough about other things. The episode could have been maybe 10 minutes longer. Show some more things about Azula gearing up to maybe meet the gang, go on a mission, do something. Overall, I think it's a 5 out of 10 for this episode. It's pretty much the definition of average. If you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment down below your thoughts, and hit the notification bell to know when I upload more content. Until then, it's me, the Avatar Fanatic, out.